Look, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education clearly doesn't understand Parliament rules, clearly doesn't understand the mandate of Parliament. The role of Parliament is to hold the executive accountable.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Once again, welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel that discusses South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. Please do understand that I'm not a politician. I do not have deep knowledge in politics. However, I am a South African citizen who's also a voter, and I do believe that my views count when it comes to political affairs of our beautiful country. We are about to talk about Sihle Lonzi, the star of the EFF right now. I'm saying a star because the political space now in South Africa is so competitive. Parties are looking for airtime. Sihle Lonzi is going around getting EFF your interviews, long interviews. No, he's busy. He is the trending guy right now. And if Sihle Lonzi is trending, you better believe that EFF is trending. So it is unfortunate that we have to start talking like this before we can allow you to watch what you actually came here for, because those are the terms and conditions of YouTube in order to use their platform successfully. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to keep you for long. President RAMAPHOSA said something, and also Sihle Lonzi is saying, you know what, we are not going back to the Zuma years. What that means, please, I'm going to leave it to you in the comment section. He's saying corruption must not be protected in Parliament. Parliament must hold the executives accountable. Yay! Let me leave you watching, guys. I'll see you right at the end with my closing commentary.
Look, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education clearly doesn't understand Parliament rules, clearly doesn't understand the mandate of Parliament. The role of Parliament is to hold the executive accountable. The role of Parliament is to hold the entities, the Department of Higher Education and all the Setas accountable, not to protect them, not to be their bodyguards, not to be their spokespersons, not to be their lawyers. Now, anyone who goes and watches, because it's on YouTube, the live stream of the parliamentary session, will see that I put it to the Director General of Higher Education, a very simple question, which I'm allowed to ask. I get to be surprised when the chair says, no, there was an agenda, you are not, there is nothing that the chair can tell me what to ask members of the executive. He can't. I always make the example and say,
pardon me, just to delve deeper, let's speak about that question that you posed. Because when looking at that YouTube video, it seemed as though the two of you were speaking past each other. The chair seemed to have held the view that you didn't understand that legislatively the DG does not appoint board chairs. But when we were listening to you, it seemed as though you merely wanted him to first confirm that chairs have been appointed. Then you would probably proceed to follow up on asking the names of those appointed.
Firstly, if the people of South Africa read the Act, which the chair clearly has not read, they will see that the chairs of boards of Setas actually account and report to Director Generals. That's the first point. But secondly, it was not the responsibility of the chairperson to respond on behalf of the DG, who was sitting right across me. Because it was, even if, let's say for argument's sake, the DG is not the one that accounts for Setas. The question is put before the DG. The role of a chairperson is to facilitate a discussion in Parliament, not to respond on behalf of the DG. The DG may have very well come forward to say, Honourable Member, thank you very much for that question, but that question is not within my purview. I think it is better directed elsewhere. But what becomes nefarious, what becomes incorrect and unethical is for the chair to not even put the question to the DG. Now, the DG most certainly is aware of the process of appointment of Setas. As I have said, if you read the Act, you will see that the chairs actually account to the DG. In most cases, by the way, ministers, as the political heads, simply sign off the recommendations that come from Director Generals. Director Generals, even in the presidency, almost behave like secretaries of the department. So there is totally no ways that such a process, such appointments would be made by the minister without the knowledge of the DG. Look at the other thing I did, maybe to close on this point, to say, for the sake of not degenerating the discussion, for the sake of peace, I then rephrased my question. I said, okay, let's argue the DG doesn't make the appointments. I then rephrased my question and said, DG, are you aware of the appointments which were made to the Setas? Even then, you have got an irresponsible chair who comes in and wants to respond on behalf of the DG. Now, the question that the people of South Africa must ask is, why was the chair speaking on behalf of the DG? The DG was there.
Now, the chair has spoken.
He could have spoken for himself. He could have responded.
Now, the chair has attempted to answer that question. He was interviewed by my colleague Clement Manyathela. I'm sure you saw that clip last night, where he explained that the department was appearing on a different matter. But then 2 letters were received, one from the Democratic Alliance and the other from the MK Party, where they made it known that they intended to ask about the list that has been doing the rounds around the chairpersons of Seta boards. Now, the chairperson of the committee says they all agreed that they wouldn't ask the department to address the rumors, as he framed them as, but he would write to the minister on that matter. And he said you were late, so you didn't sit in on that meeting. But had you been there, would you have supported the position of not seeking clarity on the spot when you have persons who can dismiss a so-called rumor, if you will?
Firstly, as an individual member of parliament, I don't account to any pre-caucus that takes place between the chair and any of the other members. When we are addressed in parliament, and we see this even with the speaker, all members of parliament are addressed as individual members of parliament. Even members that come from the same political party, by the way, they are not addressed as a group. They are addressed as single members of parliament. The fact of the matter is that I had my own 15 minutes, and I can use my 15 minutes however way I see fit. Now, let's address this lie. He can't call it a rumor. Do you know why? Because one of the newly appointed chairs was sitting in the same room as us in the portfolio committee, because the construction Seta, which was before the portfolio committee on the day, had a different chairperson. But the one who was sitting before us was a new chairperson. Now, the question we must then ask is, on what right does this individual that we don't know come and sit in our meeting? So we have a responsibility to ask that question. It's no longer a rumor because this person is sitting here in this meeting. Now, you have got the DG of Higher Education who is also sitting in the meeting. What will it hurt if the DG simply answers our simple questions to say, is he aware of the appointments? Is he aware that the son of Gwede Mantashe was appointed? Is he aware that even this chairperson of the construction Seta, who is before us today, or rather on that day, is a newly elected or rather newly appointed chairperson?
Now, your party has lodged a formal complaint. Where to from here on this specific matter insofar as the chair's conduct?
Look, the chair's conduct was unethical. The chair's conduct was irresponsible. And he showed very little knowledge and understanding of the work and mandates of Parliament, showed very little knowledge and understanding even of the Higher Education Act in the manner in which he was responding to some of the questions that were putting before him. So we've written to the chair of chairs. We're also going to pursue a case with ethics. We're not going to rest, because members of Parliament must never be silent from performing one of the most important duties, which is holding the executive accountable. This is what the Constitutional Court said during the Zuma years, when the Speaker Baleka Mbete was stopping members of Parliament from asking questions. Members of Parliament must ask any question, and the Speaker has a responsibility to put it before the President. The Speaker can't say, this question is not relevant. I mean, if you watch the Q&As that happen in Parliament, even when the Speaker is unhappy with the question, and by the way, a Speaker is much more senior than a mere chairperson of a portfolio committee of higher education. Even when the Speaker is not satisfied, the Speaker will say, Mr. President, are you willing to take this question? And it must put it before the President, and it becomes the President that then comes back and responds. So we're going to take it further. We're not going to stop, because we don't want to create a situation where we must go back to the Zuma years, where we must go to court because chairpersons of portfolio committees, because speakers are not doing the job of Parliament, which is holding the executive accountable.
Closing your reaction then to the recent development of the minister deciding to withdraw those appointments, are you in any way heartened that at least that has been withdrawn?
Look, we are most certainly vindicated. I've been laughing the whole day when people like the DA and the MKP want to come and claim this victory. Because as far as they are concerned, and as far as the chairperson of the committee is concerned, they did not want to deal with this matter immediately. In fact, they were waiting for some imaginary meeting that must come next week, Wednesday. because they are not even sure if the minister was going to come before the committee on Wednesday. But it was due to the pressure that the EFF put in Parliament. It was due to the EFF not folding in holding the department accountable that the minister felt the need to withdraw those appointments immediately. Because had it been up to the DA, had it been up to the MKP, had it been up to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education, South Africa was going to wait for some imaginary meeting with the minister, which we don't know when that meeting was going to sit. It was the EFF that said, we're not going to wait for letters, we are going to act now. We want the answers now, and the response has come out. The process is withdrawn, the process is reopened. The son of Gwede Mantashe is no longer appointed as chair of the board. The friends of ANC politicians are no longer there. Nepotism has failed, accountability and the truth has won.
All right, so you are claiming that victory. Sihle, thank you very much for joining us this evening. That's EFF MP Sihle Lonzi speaking to us. So,
well, there was a problem, an issue which the minister is trying to correct now. And I think it's important to realize that where, for instance, as the public sector, mistakes are made, immediately we are able to listen to the criticism, the voices of those in the community, and immediately take corrective measures. So that's what this is. We should also be grateful that we have a government that listens, even where it has made mistakes. Mistakes are made, and the important thing is to listen and to correct.
Thank you guys for watching up to here, and kindly share your comments in the comment section. I'm looking forward to reading those. I'm going to respond to them. If not, I'm going to most certainly react. And if you have time and you are on Wi-Fi, kindly watch my ads in full. That support really goes a long way to enjoy your weekend.